I am, I said, an alto, not a soloist. I am an alto, not a soloist. I said these words to my choir director, Mr. Gary Wilhelm, when I was 17 years old. I am, I said, an alto. I'm not a soloist. When I was 17, I was a high school senior at Hinsdale Central in Hinsdale, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago. And I was 4 sweet months from graduation day. I walked into my first period class and I grabbed my binder and I started to walk over to the risers to take my seat. As I walked over, Mr. Wilhelm stopped me and he said, "Cindy, would you stay after class, please? I need to talk to you." I'm like, "Sure, Mr. Wilhelm, no problem." I walked over to the risers, sat down with my friends, and we started planning whatever was coming up for the weekend for Valentine's Day. Then, Mr. Wilhelm decided it was time to get started with class, and we pull out our binders. Any singers or musicians in the audience who have ever played an instrument or sang, raise your hands. Anyone who has sang or played an instrument, awesome. So just the week before, Mr. Wilhelm had announced what we were going to do for the spring musical that year, and it was an opera adaptation. It was called The New Moon. And I'd never heard of this before, and we were just getting started with all of our new music. Now, if you've ever sung and if you've ever done musical anything, you know that starting with new music's really difficult. So this was like the first time we were bumping along through all of the notes and some of the strange iterations and some of the strange words. In a lot of cases, we're singing Latin or whatever it might be, not for the play, but it's 60 people. We're all trying to figure stuff out. And it's like wrinkling, it's like ironing a wrinkled shirt, like a lot. You have to iron it over and over and over again, right? So we bump along, the bell rings, and I walk downstairs off the risers. I go up to Mr. Wilhelm and I say, "What's up, Mr. Wilhelm? You said you wanted to see me?" He swivels in his chair and he turns to me and he says, "Yes, Cindy, I would like for you to do the opening solo for our spring musical this year." And I'm standing there and I'm processing and I'm thinking and I'm thinking and I'm thinking, what is he thinking? This is completely ridiculous. I can't sing a solo. Like, I'm not a soprano and he knows this. I squint my eyes. "I am," I said, "an alto, Mr. Wilhelm. I'm not a soloist. You know this. I can't do that." He meets my steely-eyed squint right back and says, "I know you're an alto, Cindy, and yes, you can do this." So I'm standing there thinking about this, and I have this choice. We've heard a lot about choices, but I have this feeling inside of me, which is strange. This floor is sticky, Ron. This strange feeling is happening inside of me. It's confusion, and honestly, I was annoyed. I was irritated by this request because I never saw it coming. I don't sing solos. I'd never sung a solo. I don't have a high voice. I'm happy in my first alto seat. And he wants me to open the whole show with hundreds of people looking at me. So in Hinsdale Central, we had a huge auditorium, like 8 times the size of this. There's an orchestra pit. There's a green room downstairs. It's legit. So I'm imagining this scene unfold, and it ain't pretty. So I'm standing there with this choice. And so I bought some time. I said, "Mr. Wilhelm, let me take a look at the music." I'm thinking maybe if I can stay on key, I'll do it. So I get the music, I look at the first couple of lines, and I'm scanning immediately for any high notes. And I see them. There's 2. And they're above the staff and just out of my range. And I'm like, those are quarter notes, so I'm going to have to hit those. And I don't know if I can. And I don't really know what to do. And I'm feeling really stuck. What should I do? Should I do this? Because Mr. Wilhelm, I trust him. He's a rope. I trust him. He's watched me sing for 4 years. He knows my voice. He knows what I can do. Should I believe him? But this other voice is like, man, if you bomb that note, your reputation is on the line in front of hundreds of people, including your classmates. That could get ugly. So I don't know what to do. What should I do? This is a lot. Have you ever stood where I stood that day? Someone gives you a key to a door you never knew even existed and didn't know how to open. And maybe it was unexpected. Who gave you that key? Did you take it? Did you open the door or did you reject it? Hang on to that thought. Let's back up. It's 1989. I'm 13 years old. I'm through 1 week as a freshman at Hinsdale Central High School. It's a big place. There are 400 students in each class, 1,600 students in the school. Big adjustment. And so I'm going through my schedule, and like everyone else who's a freshman, I'm finding my way. I'm finding my way to my class. I'm finding my way to my locker. I'm finding my way to my groups of friends. I'm finding my way to myself. I found my way to 4th period, which was choir, on my schedule. And I had a plan. See, in 7th and 8th grade, I was an alto, and I was ready to shed that skin. See, I had it in my mind that being an alto, that was like being a loser. I don't know why. But I didn't get to sing the high notes like the sopranos. They were pretty. They got solos. They were better. And I was an alto. So I saw this opportunity, new school, new director, new me. I'm going to be a soprano. So I practice my songs. I walk in. I meet this guy named Mr. Wilhelm with a gap-toothed grin. And he asks me to sing. And I'm like, I'm going to trick him. I'm going to trick this complete expert who's 30 years into singing and directing to believe that I'm a soprano. I know what I'm doing, right? So I sing with all of the soprano-ness that I can possibly muster. And I'm slotted as a first alto again. So you can imagine I was feeling pretty downtrodden. And I went through the rest of the week. And I got home on Friday afternoon and I pulled a piece of paper out of my backpack and I said, Mom, here you go. Just grab a pen and sign this sheet. I'm going to get out of choir and I'm going to take a different elective. She's like, what do you mean? You love singing. I said, yeah, well, actually don't remember what I said, but I know that I didn't tell her the truth about why I wanted to get out of that class. And she did what any good mom would do. She said, sure, you can get out of that class. I'll sign the paper as soon as you spend 2 more weeks in it. And on the last possible day to get you out of that class, I'll sign that sheet. Well, unfortunately, I found this to be rather reasonable. So I agreed. And I went back to class and I began to learn the music and I began to sing with my friends that I was making. And I went back the next week and the next semester and for the next 4 years. See, this was an incredible door that I'm so glad I walked all the way through. Singing is soaring. Singing is storytelling. Singing is savvy, beautiful, magical storytelling that is sophisticated. When you sing, you have to use your whole body. It's nuanced, it's beautiful, it's difficult, and it's magic. When you sing with a large choir, it completely changes the game. Am I right, Jenny? It completely changes the game when you have 200 voices on one stage and you're all booming at a forte with all beautiful, different harmonized notes. You've got a pit, an orchestra pit in front of you, and you're singing Carmina Burana, which I did, with 250 voices on one stage. You can feel the sound and the energy come up through the floor, through your legs, out of the top of your head, and it's like touching the ears of the angels. You can't do that by yourself. You have to have a choir. You have to have a whole body coming together and singing all their different beautiful parts, melodies, harmonies, all sorts of different voices. Must be a team. You can't do that by yourself. So there's magic in full choral singing. I learned that I rather liked being an alto. Eventually, I was quite proud. Still am. I don't sing now in a choir. But what I did learn about being an alto is that I learned to be a better listener in general. Being an alto requires a unique type of ear so that you can hear the nuance and you can hear that harmonizing, and you are like a beautiful thread through the soprano's harmonies, melodies, right? So, I'm glad I was an alto. It made me a better listener as a human, as a friend, as a mom, and as a coach. In my executive coaching, I do a lot of listening. All right, back to you. That key. Did you take the key? Did you put it into a door? What did you decide? Did you reject it? Did you take it? What happened? And who was the person? Who was your Mr. Wilhelm? When I work with leaders, a lot of times they don't take the keys until I push them. So I'll hear things like this. Cindy, I'm an engineer. I can't possibly lead a team like that. Cindy, I'm an introvert. I can't go to a networking event and talk to people all day like that. Cindy, I am a lab scientist. I can't go to a conference and present my poster and all of my research in front of all those people and nail it like that. And then I get to be their Mr. Wilhelm and give them a key to themselves. And I say to them, yes, you can. And I have the keys to unlock those doors for you because I can see you. And I can see the gifts that you have and the ones that you need to bring to the world as a scientist, as a technologist, as a scared innovator. See, I work with science. It's people in science, technology, pharma, and innovation, sometimes finance. And these people are wicked smart. They're nerds, total nerds. And I'm a nerd too. I'm a messaging nerd. And so they often come to me with this incredible, well, they always come to me with this incredible expertise, things I can't figure out, things I don't know, things I haven't studied. And that's actually the beauty in it all, because I don't understand them. And I say to my kids, right, kids? I'm like, I get paid to tell people, I don't know what you just said. But I help them create a storyline so that their audiences of stakeholders do understand, do see the power, do find their way to buying into their stakeholder requests. That's what I do. There are some themes here that are going to come up right now. Boxes hold us in, right? These are the reasons we don't take the keys. So think about the way you would say that. I am blank. How would you fill in these blanks? I am a blank, not a blank. If Ron came and sang a song and you filled in the blanks, what would they be? I am a blank. I'm not a blank. How would you fill in those blanks? We don't usually want to fill in new blanks that are uncomfortable. We are stuck in our beautiful boxes of comfort. It's cushy. It's stuff we know. We don't want to venture out. We are afraid and we have doubts. What if I bomb? What if I fail? What if I get laughed at? What if they call me too short or too fat or too whatever? We have to come out of our boxes and we have to allow other people to help us. And this is an interesting part right here, because as I reflected on this, I realized it's almost always someone else who gives us keys to ourselves. Am I right? We don't see the beauty and ingenuity and uniqueness of ourselves in the same way that someone else does, right? Someone else is watching you, observes you, knows you, probably loves you. They can see you differently than you can see yourself. So we have to trust the rope, the Mr. Wilhelm, whatever you want to call it, and take the key sometimes. This is the crazy part. You can get keys from people that will change your life and you might hardly know them at all, okay? This actually happened to me. It's 2015. I'm looking for a part-time job. 3 out of my 4 children are here. Where are you guys? Yeah, there they are. My kids are here. One's in Florida. But when they all went off to elementary school, I decided to go out and look for a part-time job. So I started knocking on doors, part-time job, part-time job. None of these doors were opening. And so my husband gave me a key. He's like, I know this presentation skills coach. Maybe you should go have coffee with Tannis. I'm like, what is a presentation skills coach? That sounds amazing. I have background in rhetoric, taught public speaking, took all these years off, had all my kids. So I sit down with Tannis for lunch. We talk for an hour and a half, and then another hour and a half. And by the end of the conversation, she says to me, Cindy, based on the things you've just said to me, you really like content development. And I was like, if that is what you call what I just said to you, then fine. That's what I like. But she said, you like to work on the message and the storyline and knit it all together. And there aren't a lot of people out there who are good at that. And that was an interesting key because I had no idea. I'm like, oh, good to know. And then she gave me a key that changed my life. She said, Cindy, I am a presentation skills coach, but I am not above getting one. And I have a TEDx talk next month that I really want to nail. Will you coach me? And I'm standing there and I'm thinking and I'm saying, yes, I will. Yes, I will. I don't know how I'm going to do that. I didn't tell her that. I said, I don't know how I'm going to do that, but let's do that. So I walked Tannis through my first program of presentation skills coaching. No logo, no company name, nowhere to write a check. And then she went to the TEDx arena and we stood there, prepped her. She nailed that, tugged my sleeve on the balcony as we watched the other speakers. And she said, Cindy, you should quit looking for part-time jobs and you should do this because you have a gift. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Start a business? That's not a key I ever was looking for. And 10 years later, here I am. We're celebrating 10 years at On Point Communications this September. I started by working with local leaders and then regional leaders and then national leaders and then international leaders. We provide keynotes all over the U.S. I have a book that's coming out in June. We started a podcast in January that you can follow. We have handouts at the end. It's been the wildest ride, the absolute wildest ride of my life. So just remember that other people are probably trying to give you keys right now in your life. Have the courage to look for them and at them and take them. Don't say no to the doors that you don't see. Someone else might see a door that you should walk through. So, what about that key I had with Mr. Wilhelm back in 1993? What did I do? You probably know what I did. I took it. And I agreed to do this difficult solo that was out of my range, and I went and practiced it a lot. I got some coaching. I didn't tell anyone that I was going to do this because I felt like that would be a lot of extra pressure. And I kind of wanted to surprise my parents just in case I hit those notes. So it's opening night. I'm back in the little practice room that's got all the padded walls where no one can hear you and it's just you and a piano. And I'm pounding out the notes and my hair is up, my shoulders are down. I'm in this terribly gaudy green velvet dress from Costumes that's been there from 1972. I've got makeup caked all over my face from Walmart or wherever it was back at those days. But I'm feeling amazing. And I'm thinking I can hit this note. So I walk out to the stage, the curtain's down. I find that X on the floor made out of masking tape, and the curtain's right here in front of my nose. I'm center stage. The curtain starts to go up. I spot Mr. Wilhelm in the pit. He gives me a wink. He starts the downbeat. The whole orchestra begins to play. I take my deep breath, and guess what I did? Nailed those notes. Nailed the whole solo that day, the next day, and at the closing matinee. And I want to tell you something. It changed me. It changed me to do that. I would have been part of the ensemble without even thinking about it. But I took that step, just like you have, and I pushed myself. I trusted Mr. Wilhelm, and I was a different person because of that. You might say it was my first ever I nailed it feeling. And I was addicted. I wanted to create more for myself and more eventually for leaders, and I want to create them for you. So what is on your docket? What's coming up for you in the next 30, 60, 90 days? Who do you need to notice you at work, where you volunteer, at your nonprofits? What's happening in your world? And are you ready? Or do you need a key? I am, I said, an alto and a soloist. Who are you?
Mm.